Hi, Lizzie. Thanks for joining me. And we're going to talk about your upcoming adventure. If you could just start by introducing yourself and say who you are.
So I'm Lizzie Carr and I'm an adventurer and environmentalist and paddleboarder.
Great. And what are you up to? You're going on a journey. Can you talk a little bit about more what that is and why you're doing it?
Sure. So yeah, tomorrow morning, very early, I'm leaving for America, where I'll be paddleboarding the tidal length of the River Hudson, all in the name of plastic pollution and highlighting this as an issue, a wider issue, a global issue for our environment.
So we have seen a bit of awareness about plastic pollution lately this year, particularly with the Blue Planet program. So it seems there's a bit of awareness creeping up about it. So what do you think needs to happen, and how do you think your adventure can help raising awareness?
Yeah, I definitely think there's been a real shift in the mindset of the public since we've had the likes of Blue Planet, but also lots of other environmental campaigns that have taken off this year, especially within the UK. The way that Plastic Patrol, my charity and campaign, works in the UK, and what I hope to replicate in England, in the US, is really connecting people with the issue of plastic pollution through adventure. So I use my paddleboard and big sort of paddleboarding endurance challenges as a way of highlighting environmental issues, specifically around plastic pollution, ocean health, and the broader implications of climate change. And by organising kind of community cleanups where I take people out paddleboarding on their waterways completely free, and the payment is effectively litter picking. I call that their nature tax. It's a really great way of getting people out on the water, immersed in the kind of natural environment, taking on a new sport, trying something slightly different, but also seeing firsthand just how bad the problem with plastic pollution is. And I think when you're on the water, what you see and how you experience it is very different from what you might see walking along the towpaths or, you know, next to the rivers or even on the beach. I think you have to really be immersed in it to just understand the impact that it's having on really the wildlife that's around you. That certainly was a turning point for me, is seeing how badly it was impacting, you know, the birds and the marine species that I was paddling around. And that's really where it all started.
Yeah, I guess there's like we're living on a blue planet, and 75% of our planet is covered in the ocean, and we can't always see what's happening beneath the ocean, can we, or beneath the water kind of thing. So how do we make people know that they actually have to care about what happened in the ocean?
I think you can't force people to care. You need to motivate people and inspire people to care. You know, if you just start reeling off stats and facts, it's not really going to, you know, touch people. I think it has to be done in a way that makes them feel emotionally connected to the issue. And for me, that's what, you know, these paddleboarding challenges are all about. It's about connecting with the issue in a different way. You know, when I first started paddleboarding, I was probably like most people in a bit of an environmental sleepwalk and not really understanding what this problem looked like. I just wanted to go out on the water and, you know, enjoy myself and kind of get the physical benefits from it. But it was after sort of spending time on the water and seeing it firsthand that actually it completely changed my perspective, and seeing just how bad the problem with plastic was and the damage it was doing, and sort of these horrifying sights of, you know, birds' nests made up almost entirely of plastic wrappers. And, you know, these are all completely man-made material. You know, this is entirely our doing. There's no escaping that. It makes you stand back and think. And I think that's what needs to happen with everybody, is kind of almost exposing themselves to it a little bit more and really seeing how bad it is. But I find that there's a lot of attention on the global issue and what's happening in the oceans, which is incredible, and I really support that. But actually, we need to take that step back, and we need to think about where it's starting and where it's coming from, and that's inland. 80% of marine debris, including plastic, is starting inland, in our canals and in our rivers. So actually, we have a responsibility to address that at its source. And for me, that's what Plastic Patrol was all about. It was about taking this global issue and making it very local by taking it back to the communities and the towns and the cities where people are living on these waterways, where they think because they're not by the beaches and by the coast, they're actually contributing to this problem, but they are. We are all responsible in some way.
I mean, you're right. You're saying it's a global problem, and you're seeing the local impacts of global, what happened at global level kind of thing. So the plastic would not always be where it's been emitted, if you say. So it travels along the waterway. You have plastic islands collected in big ocean stuff. So
yeah,
it really highlights that global connectivity now, doesn't it?
It does, and I think given that, like, once it reaches the oceans, 95% of it sinks. Actually, for me, that's a little bit too late. We need to intercept it before it reaches the oceans, because by that point, it sunk to the bottom and it's irretrievable. We can't ever access that again.
Do you think that is this just an individual issue, or is there anything like companies or governments can do that they're not already doing?
I've definitely experienced a lot of like finger pointing, blame culture in my years of campaigning against plastic. But there's absolutely a responsibility at sort of the higher levels, at governmental level, at companies, manufacturers, retailers. I think at the end of the day, it does come down to consumer choice, but consumers have to have that choice to be able to make the right choice. And that choice has to be accessible as well. Like, we do live in a fast-paced world. There is an element of people taking a step back and being a bit more mindful and conscious of how they're consuming and at the rate at which they're consuming, and how many throwaway items that they're using. But equally, there needs to be options readily available for people so they can change their habits more easily. People want to do good. People just don't really know how.
And I guess they don't also know how it relates to them. So I guess if you can, as you're doing, if you can create that link and create something that really has local impacts.
Definitely.
So you chose the Hudson River. Why Hudson?
America is one of the largest consumers of single-use plastics, and for me, one of the main ways we can tackle this issue is by fighting against single-use plastics, the unnecessary plastics that we don't need to use. So going out to America, one of the world's largest populations, and highlighting this issue. In the UK, like you said, we've had the Blue Planet, and there's a movement here now. People are really starting to understand this problem. And of course, we're not anywhere where we need to be yet, but we're certainly making progress. Whereas I don't feel that we're actually at that point yet in America, and they're just kind of a little push in the right direction for various reasons. So I want to go out there and replicate what I've done in the UK. In the US, and almost just kind of galvanise the same support and get people out on the water in the same way that I have in the UK. Because I think as soon as people start immersing themselves in it and seeing the problem firsthand, they really do care.
Yeah, and you mentioned climate change earlier. How do you believe climate change all figured as into this impact on oceans and riverbeds?
Say that again, sorry.
How do you feel climate change role in all this?
So what I'm doing on this particular challenge is I've got it's a new technology, a smart fin technology, which it's basically a retractable fin or detachable fin on my board, and it's got a microchip on it. And that microchip will measure water temperatures periodically throughout the journey, but also the motion characteristics. And that is being fed into a scientific research lab that have already got a lot of data on the ocean water temperatures. So this challenge specifically is looking not just at plastics that I'll be geotagging and highlighting on the Plastic Patrol app, but also the temperature of the water in the Hudson River, because at the moment there isn't a baseline for that. And actually riverine water temperatures compared to oceanic water temperatures can actually tell us a lot about, global warming as and climate change as an issue more generally.
Brilliant. And are you working with any partners in the US? Are people following you there?
I've got, so I'm actually heading out to the US at the end of this challenge. What I'm going to be doing is joining the APP World Tour to do the final 10K as a race to around the Statue of Liberty. And the APP World Tour, an amazing sort of event setup where they invite elite paddleboarders from all over the world to sort of join these events. And I happen to be at the same there at the same time they're in New York. And it's a brilliant way for me to connect, you know, the elite sport, elite paddleboarders, professionals in their field with environmental issues. I think as, you know, water sports people, we all have a responsibility. You know, if it's our playground and the place that we enjoy and the place that we love, we have a responsibility to protect it as well.
I think that's a good point. I mean, actually, people who use the oceans every day, people who use the oceans as the playground and doing sports and stuff, they really see those issues at front of them, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think most people that use the water on a regular basis do feel very strongly about protecting it, and always have done, because it you know, it is our happy place. But it's kind of taking that a step further and sort of making sure that it's really ingrained in the professional world, so that it's not just, you know, whether it's paddleboarding, canoeing, kayaking, boating, whatever, these people aren't just using the water to kind of compete at a very sort of high level. They're actually using that to talk about the issues affecting what they're doing on the water.
Brilliant. And if you're sitting in the UK, anywhere else in the world, is there anywhere people can follow you, see what you're up to doing the challenge?
Yeah, so you can track me live throughout the journey on my website, which is Lizzie Outside, LIZZIE, outside.co.uk, and sort of see how I'm travelling along. And on that site, if there's people based out in the US, they can see where the cleanup events I'm hosting are down the Hudson River. So there's one in Poughkeepsie, one in Croton Point, and one in New York City. So if anyone's around to get involved there, they're more than welcome. I've got the paddleboards, armed with paddleboards and litter picks. People just need to turn up and contribute their time. That's all I ask. And then on social media, so Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, I'll be making regular updates every day on there to sort of show my progress, what I'm seeing in terms of the environment, and yeah, just kind of giving people a bit of a flavour of what it's all about.
So when is the actual start time? You're jetting out tomorrow, and when will you be landing, and when will you getting ready to go?
So I fly out tomorrow and I start on the 6th in the morning at about 11 a.m. With the tide. So yeah, not long now, a couple more days left and off I go.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for talking to us, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.